Above the Roof, the Colorado Family Roofing Podcast, hosted by Brandi and Brian Barnes. We're the fastest growing roofing company in Northern Colorado, so we're talking about raw and real struggles and successes and topics that homeowners need to know about the home service industry. Hello, welcome to Above the Roof with Brian and Brandi. Last time I said I'm your host, but that's just because I'm used to saying that. But it's both of us.
You should definitely be.
All right, I'm the host, he's the talent.
That's
So today we decided we were going to talk about the journey of family roofing, Colorado family roofing, and how we got to where we were, because you've worked really hard on that.
Yeah.
And there was some times where it was not so fun, and I think those make the best stories, because what story doesn't have a hero that struggles and then rises above all odds?
And then struggles more, and I don't think the struggling ever stops, but
Yeah.
until the day you're out of the business.
Right. That makes sense.
Different struggles.
Yeah. So just tell, first of all, why did you even start roofing?
Yeah, I was in the marketing industry for a long time. Before that, I owned my own business. So I had a small taste of what it's like to have a little bit of freedom, I guess. So the first business was a lawn care business, and I was a solopreneur. I wouldn't really call it a business. It was a job that I owned.
Yeah. You were your own boss.
Yeah, I was my own boss, but not really, because it was literally, I would wake up at 5 a.m. and I'd get home at 8 p.m. for 4 or 5 months out of the year, just straight mowing lawns.
Exhausted.
I really learned in that business, one, customer service, and two, hard work.
Yeah.
And how much hard work lifting a business off the ground is. And I tell a story, and it's kind of gross, but in the midst of when that business was really growing, I was doing 140 lawns a week.
Holy cow.
By myself. And I could turn the mower on at 7 a.m. and I had to have them off by 8 p.m. for city ordinance.
Oh.
So I'd go, everything would be prepped and ready and clean by the time I got to the first house. It was 7 o'clock in the morning. And then I had to go so fast to be able to get done that I had to pee in the car in a box.
Holy cow.
I did not have time for gas station stuff.
Right.
Actually. That's 7 stops. That's over an hour, because you're drinking a lot of food.
Yeah.
Well, those days I was peeing in the truck. But that was my first taste of to lift a business off the ground, it takes a whole lot of momentum. So
yeah.
Anyways, that was lawn care. And then I went into marketing and worked for a corporation. Basically, it was they called themselves a small business. It was 500 employees by the time I was done there. So it was very, very corporate, very, very much sales oriented, numbers based. They had investors, they had numbers they had to hit every month. And you were expected to hit your marks, which I did. I did really well there. I was one of the top performers. But when I'd go home at the end of the day, I had made a lot of money, but I felt horrible about life in general. I did not want to wake up and go do the same thing because we were not doing the right things for the clients. So 5 years of that, until really I hit a burnout stage where I just knew I couldn't do this for the rest of my life anymore. Really just risked everything, went into business with a partner from that company into roofing. And so we started our first business together, and that's where I learned partnerships are extremely difficult.
I've heard that more than once, yeah.
But I did know what it took to lift a business off the ground, and we obviously had 5 years of marketing experience, which is half the battle.
Right.
In starting any business. And I'd always been naturally good at sales. So I did that for a year and a half with the partner, and really a month into that in business, I knew this wasn't going to be good. Just because of the things I'll tell you, here's a real quick story based on that. We went out to lunch, just talking about the business for the first time. We went to Chipotle, and he asked for a water cup and he filled it up with Coke. I was just like, it was a very small thing.
Yeah.
But to me, it's just, if this guy isn't honest with $1.89 soda, is he going to be honest through the business? So that should have been right then and there. I knew I shouldn't do this partnership. Long story short, I did not learn the lesson right away. I didn't trust my gut. A year and a half later, I knew I knew I had to get out. The shame of it was it took so much effort to lift that business off. It was just starting to get going, you get traction. I had to leave because I knew I couldn't do this for the rest of my life.
Right.
So Colorado Family Roofing was born.
Yay.
Yeah. And actually it started out as Colorado Family Solar.
Right.
Because we had just started to get into solar at the other company, and I was like, man, this market's about to explode. And we still do have a lot of hope in the solar.
Yeah.
And we're pushing a lot with this business in solar as well. But I quickly learned in solar that everybody sells the exact same product. There's not really any way to differentiate yourself. The labor is not even anywhere close to something that you can control. It's really all third parties. There's a million solar sales companies.
Right.
There's really only a few installers. They all use the same ones, same products. And so it just became who's got the lower price game. So I did like 10 solar bids in like a month.
Okay.
And I was undercut on all of them. I could not find a way to differentiate myself from the market. And so quickly in 1 month, I changed the name to Colorado Family Roofing and Solar. I went back to the roofing reason. I know how to do roofing well.
Yeah.
I got this down. I don't know why I did solar in the first place. That was stupid. So quickly pivoted Colorado Family Roofing and Solar and sold my first roof within like 3 days.
There you go.
It's crazy. Yeah. Which was good because I had about 5 days until my bills were due and I had nothing in the after the year and a half of the failed partnership and starting a new business, getting that off, like bank account is gone. That's been my whole life story. And I'd never had savings. The first business I started was with a $500 credit card and we got prayer. So.
That's awesome. Actually, that gives hope. All of you who don't have like a huge savings account.
Yeah, it gives hope. Also, kind of my life story of recklessness. I still ask Brandi to help me battle that tendency. But when I started lawn care, I was at a government job that was absolutely terrible. I hated it, but I was making $65,000 a year. And this is, back in 2010, 2009.
Yeah.
So it's not great money, but it's certainly, minimum or median income for family. My wife was a teacher, so we were getting by. But I quit that job with $500 credit card, no savings. I had to put $2,400 into our bank account every other week for us to be able to just pay the bills. Like,
okay.
Literally nothing left over. But I quit with the only clients I had was my mom and wife's, no equipment. Like I knew how to run the commercial equipment. Anyways, made it work. One way or another, my life story is I make a lot of risky decisions, but I continue to do them because I somehow make it work.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it is now. So
yeah, but that is, I think it's a lesson, and I don't want to tell young entrepreneurs to do what I did, but I feel like if you're going to do something, you cannot have a plan B, and there can be no backup. And I know there's a lot of like, start the side hustle, and that's probably the smarter way to do it. If you can manage staying in your current job for 2, 3, 4 years until your side hustle can kick off, like, yeah, that's the smart way to do it. But for me, as impatient and as risk averse as I am, I can never do it. I always had to just be like, well, I've got to go sell. I got to go sell 20 lawns.
I think there's something to what you said, though, because I have a side business and it's not going anywhere. And that's because I do have a plan B. I don't have time to work the attention that it actually needs. So like if I were to quit tomorrow and go do that, I probably would be successful, but I can't do the risks. Like I just can't, like it's scary to me. So I admire that you could just do that and make it work because it takes discipline, courage, and grit is what Brian always talks to us about in the office. But so the first 2 years of your roofing business, there were no hailstorms.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier in roofing to take off when there's something to repair.
Yes.
I know you have a good story about your first 2 years.
Yeah. So yeah, we started the business in 2021, and that was in Colorado. In Colorado, typically at that point, it had been hailing major storms every year, to the point that it conditioned homeowners to the fact that if my roof is damaged, I'm just going to wait for the next hailstorm rather than pay for it out of pocket. Every inspection that we did, that there was no hailstorm to claim on it, because usually the limit of hailstorm is 1 year. They would just say, we're going to wait till next year. Can you patch it up? And of course, we say, yes, we do. And we still do that. It did it led to this environment that there was just very, very difficult to sell a roof in Colorado until 2022 when it started healing. And so, the first 2 years were extremely rough, just barely getting by. The 6 months into the business, I think it was like November or December. It was December. We were absolutely running out of money. Nobody's buying a roof and we're hitting it, which is always anyways. So I decided to go storm chase, we hate storm chasers. And there's a reason why that is, because I'm in Colorado. I'm going to go out to Oklahoma, pull my licenses. And obviously, like, we're reputable, we're still doing the right thing. But at the same time, like, I'm flying into Oklahoma. I'm trying to drum up some business, trying to sell a couple of roofs, and then I'm flying back home. So if there's a problem in Oklahoma, I'm full plane right away.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot more unreputable storm chasers that just, kill the cell phone, pick up a new one and start a new business, like whatever it is. Obviously, we weren't going to do that, but get by. Yeah, we storm chased into Oklahoma. I say we is only me at this point. Went into Oklahoma, knocking doors, and that's where, if you really want to find out how difficult sales and businesses, go knock doors. Any of you door knockers out there, much respect, because that could be the most difficult job in the world, door knocking for roofing sales. So
I keep saying I'm going to go try it, and I've been saying that for a year and a half.
I typically only lasted a couple hours, and I just get so discouraged. I just hated it so much.
Yeah.
I was able to get one roof out of my time in Oklahoma, and it ended up costing me money because we have a bill right guarantee, and that roof just so happened to need new decking. So our guarantee, for those of you that don't know, is that we're going to build a hard quality roof for the price that insurance is paying. And if they don't cover it, we're going to cover it ourselves. And so I took that guarantee to Oklahoma, and we tear off the roof and the decking is just absolutely destroyed. So I'm thinking, like, okay, it's not the end of the world. It's a pretty decent sized roof. I sold it for a pretty cheap price because I'm trying to earn business out here. So there's not a lot of profit in it.
Yeah.
Ending up having to redeck the entire roof. We're fighting with insurance for months, and they eventually just said, no, like, we're not paying for you for the decking. I had to eat that cost. Ended up losing actually a little bit of money when you calculated like flights and everything into the hotels and into the deal. But what came out of Oklahoma was sitting in a hotel room, just despondent about the business. And I was honestly like looking at applications online and, what are we going to do to feed my family? And I was like, this is the moment that you either do or you don't. I think all business owners probably have had that moment where you just have to decide, like, am I in or am I out? And I'm going to go fill out applications, or I'm just going to go all in. So I closed out all of the application and I'm like, you know what? I'm not a quitter. I'm not a quitter. So I started writing, what can I do to provide value? So I started writing a book, and we still have that book, Roofing Secrets Revealed. It's a big hit. I sold one for $1 on Amazon, so I'm a published author. But more importantly, we give it out to a lot of our clients that are going through the roofing process, and it literally outlines all the problems with the industry, the things they need to look out for, the things that need to be on your roof. And so once I wrote that book and I started giving that out to everybody before we went out to them, and it's just filled with honesty and rawness, and like, this is the roofing industry, and this is why we're trying to change it, and this is how we do it differently. Things just started turning around. And when I packed up my bags from Oklahoma and started driving to Colorado, I see all of these, and literally, like, I have maybe 2 weeks of money before we're in very serious trouble with our
moving in with Dad.
So I'm driving back to Oklahoma, and, obviously praying and everything. And I got my new book and ready to go. I'm leaving Oklahoma in the dust. It's just terrible investment in time. Driving back, and I see all these bent over signs, like wind damage, and things are just like destroyed. And I wasn't really paying attention, but apparently the day before I drove back, just this tremendous windstorm blew through Colorado, Kansas, Oklahoma, like the whole thing just And so I'm driving back. I'm like, man, this area got torched. I'm still in like Kansas, I think. And so I keep driving, and I'm like, the signs are getting worse and worse. And so I get back to Colorado, and lo and behold, there's a massive windstorm. I think it's December 23rd or something, 28th or something like that. And, as bad as I feel for people, this is the industry we're in.
Right.
We're in the storm damage industry,
Yeah.
especially in Colorado. And that was the turning point of the business, because we started to be able to sell new roofs to people that had all this wind damage.
Yeah.
So that saved us for that winter. And, there's always a hand of God involved. There's always a little bit of luck. But before that luck happens, there's always the grit.
Right.
You gotta make the determination and the grit to just get through it, and then stuff starts happening.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. And then since then, you've had basically a hailstorm each summer.
We've had almost a hailstorm every summer, and we're working on a lot of other aspects of our business to get into the roof rejuvenation stuff. So
Yeah.
we're not just a purely storm dependent business. Working on a lot of pricing to help with just retail roofs for people that don't have hail in the last 10 years, because there are still a lot of areas in Colorado that don't get hailed on. My house, for one, need a darn new roof, but it won't.
It won't hail over there.
So we're working on a lot of those things to increase the aspect of the business.
Yeah. And I remember when I first started, we both were like, what are we going to do if it doesn't hail again? Like, well, we need something. And so we started a design center, but
Yeah, that's another podcast.
yeah, that's a whole other one.
But the design center is a great reflection on, if you have a plan B, it doesn't work. Because
yeah,
design center was the plan B, obviously, because we had this great roofing company.
right.
And we just, it's like, whatever. And I didn't put enough time, effort, attention, anything. And the design center was a bad idea, which we no longer do.
Yeah. And now, so RoofMaxx is that's one of those, like, brand always comes and is like, we should do this. This is going to be the next big thing. And it only costs thousands of dollars. And I'm like, no.
It's only $40,000.
I know. So you had to go to our CFO consultant and be like, Brandi says no, but can we do it? And he agreed with you that it was disruptive is what he called it, which was a good thing.
Yeah. He said, is this going to disrupt the industry? And I said, I absolutely believe so. He said, then you absolutely have to do it. And so RoofMaxx is really going to be a game changer for the industry. We are, of course, early adapters. So we always kind of are in new things in the roofing industry. Very excited about RoofMaxx.
That was exciting. And then, we have RoofMaxx, and then we do the roof tune-ups, which I think is going to be great. And then we have the cool roof upgrade. So you've thought of a lot of different things to keep us going even without storms. And then solar. So solar panels are one, which we do, but then solar shingles are something that we have tried, which is different and more aesthetic. And in this environment, people are interested in aesthetics because it's a luxury kind of economy here. So, but GAF is coming out with some new exciting class 4 options.
Exciting news from GAF. Yeah. So the solar roof historically was and I think we were the second contractor in Colorado to get on board with solar shingles.
Mm-hmm.
So again, whenever anything new and innovative comes out, that's a market disruptor that can help folks, like, we're all over it. Solar shingle was, and we hopped all over it. We sold a couple of them, but the biggest problem with the solar shingle was it was not class 4 rated. I think it was for class 2 rated, which is not good in Colorado. So we kind of stopped selling it. We'd mention it to folks, but we'd always say, look, it's not a class 4 rated shingle. I'm like, yeah, we don't want to do it. But if you're thinking about solar and you need a new roof, you're saving thousands of dollars, maybe tens of thousands of dollars, opposed to doing the roof and then putting in the solar on.
Right.
So it makes perfect sense. And like you said, it is very aesthetically pleasing. It blends into the roof. You can barely even notice it if you do like a charcoal.
Yeah. It looks so good. You should look on our website because there's a couple pictures.
Yeah. And 30% federal tax.
That's right. Federal tax rebate on the solar. Well, perfect. Well, we're going to keep talking about the journey. So Alex Hormozy says, if you make it past one episode, you're already in the top 10% of all podcasts. So here we go. Top 10% podcast you're listening to right here. But we'll keep talking about the journey through creating and growing successful business. And then we have all kinds of fun stories we can tell. Some will be funny, some will be serious. And I'm going to make Brian do some inspirational stuff because he's so good at all of our meetings, hyping us up and inspiring us all. We have a book of the month, and self-development's huge. So I think that'll be fun to talk about too. So be prepared for a lot of fun stuff above the roof.
Above the roof, baby.
All right. I'm Brandi.
I'm Brian.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.